What do you think it means for the silver price when we have gold setting all types of records? Look, this is a fact, and I'm hearing it more and more. You're likely hearing this as well. One thing that could really propel the silver price much, much higher would be a much higher gold price. We seem to forget about that. Hey, thank you, Sooner Bear. Bring us the goods. Okay, I'm going to get it. The best live stream in the history of the universe, Sooner Bear. You're in it, baby. Hope the Sooners are doing well. We forget about it. I forgot about that fact. Like, we look at all these different factors affecting silver, but one big factor that will have a major impact on the silver price, and really hasn't as of yet, is the gold price. And gold is setting all kinds of records. So gold, people have all these different ways. Maybe what's your way to describe the relationship between gold and silver? I've heard it been called the leader. You can call it the big brother. There's all types of things. But what is going on with gold that is so crazy? We got info from the World Gold Council. Let me read you. I think there's 4 interesting things and records. We're talking records, guys, records. Okay, actually now maybe 5, because I just thought of another one myself. Who needs the World Gold Council when we have the brains of the basement dwellers, huh? And thank you for being here. Please give this a thumbs up. That will help get the word out to more and more people. And my content will always be free. You will always be able to come to the basement, no charge, okay? Super chats are super appreciated. Donations, we have PayPal, all that, but nothing's ever expected at all. But if you could please subscribe to the channel, because I want you to come back, and I already begged you for a thumbs up. Let's talk about these world records going on in the gold market, okay? Last week, the World Gold Council released its gold demand trends report. Okay, there's 5 things we're going to talk about. I'm going to try to remember 4 of them, which tracks the developments in the demand for and use of gold around the world. Okay, excluding over-the-counter demand, 2003 saw gold demand fall slightly from 2022 to just under 4,500 tons. Now you're thinking, Ron, you lied to us. You told us there were records. Well, wait, there's more, okay? Excluding over-the-counter trade, I already said that, with over-the-counter demand, and this is where it gets crazy. Over-counter demand with over-the-counter demand accounted for, last year's demand peaked at 4,899 tons. Quote, the highest figure ever recorded, setting a new world record. Now, what's so interesting about that, right? A new world record in demand for gold. Remember, gold leads silver, but remember that world record included the over-the-counter demand. And what's over-the-counter demand, you might be asking? Well, you better pay attention, because over-the-counter demand for gold, that's hedge funds, right? The smartest, most sophisticated money in the world. That's sovereign wealth funds, okay? And it's wealthy individuals. And I saw data, did you see this data? That said that over-the-counter demand, right, from those smart rich people, no smarter than you or I, but maybe richer than you and I, but nonetheless, their demand went up 750% last year. That's 7.5 times higher demand. Hello, Jake from Jake's Custom Parts. Good to see you. And Sassy Silver and CoinShop Chris. Please, guys, type 8888. I'm going to ask you to do something. 888 in the comments. I'm going to do it right now. I sometimes forget, but I'm always grateful for the moderators. Thank you. Type 8 for the moderators to tell them thank you. That's number 1. Okay. This is interesting, though. Listen to this. While demand in Europe fell in 2023, investment demand in India, just like 1.4 billion people, I think the world's biggest population now, Turkey, and the United States of America increased. Demand for gold increased, okay? In the United States, 113 tons. In Turkey, 160 tons. And in India, 185 tons increased. All right. That's not a record, right? But, we're going to come back to this. 2023 saw little overall change in gold mining production for the year. All right. We're going to come back to that. Here, you ready for another record? Okay. Gold's average price through 2023 was $1,940. That also broke a record, exceeding 2022's average price by 8%. Now, so we got record demand for physical gold, record average price for physical gold, okay? Record average price of $1,940 per ounce. Now, I know gold's not doing too great. Let's do a quick update, but I got a big, something interesting you probably didn't think about type comment, okay? That's why we're here together. I cannot think of everything. A lot of this information gets feeded to me through you guys, right? And I do hours of research on my own, but we can't think of everything. But I got something. You know what? I'll just ruin it. I'm going to ruin it for you. What the heck? It's Monday morning. Everybody's got a Super Bowl hangover. Here's the deal. The average price last year, $1,940. What do you think the average price is this year right now? Right? Is gold even gone below 2,000? So think about that. While in 2023, we had an average price of $1,940. Easy for me to remember. That's the year my daddy was born, and I'm not going to cry like I had before talking about him. But he was over here yesterday. Anyway, thank you for that super chat. Leanne Trevino, the RV fund, the recreational. Yeah, I got to keep the economy going. While gold hit 1940 on average last year, think about this year. It's been above 2,000 all year. Okay. And we're in mid-February. It's almost Valentine's Day. It's almost time for the Valentine's Day giveaway. Don't forget about that, basement dwellers. You can win 25 ounces of silver on Wednesday, right? Right now, 10 o'clock, Wednesday morning, live stream. I'll be giving away 25 ounces of silver. Go to the description of this or any video and you can figure out, and it'll say enter the giveaway here. But don't do it now. I want you to stay on the live stream because we got more records. Record level of demand for gold. And again, that's going to feed through to silver, right? Record average price. But are there more records? Are you ready for more records? Yes. How about this for a record? Was that all the records? Oh, here we go. Oh, this is the nearly record. In a year of monetary tumult, central banks themselves turned to gold, driving over 21% of the total demand, nearly setting a new demand record of their own. But from what I'm hearing, so 2023 was not a record. I lied for central bank demand, but very close to a record, very close to what was a record in 2022. So we've got records after records after records. Let's talk about that interesting little point they threw in there for us, because this relates even more to silver and is even more crazy about silver. Let me ask you a simple question, basement dwellers. If there's anything in the world, okay, and it's something that is in demand. Anything. Cars, right? Remember what happened to cars during the C-19 crisis? Food, let's ask you a question. When there's when there's bad weather in Mexico and there's an avocado shortage, what happens to the price of avocados? Who knows? I know, the price goes up. When there's bad weather in Florida and it wipes out a lot of the orange crop, what happens to the price of orange juice? It goes up. What happens when gold mining companies are stagnant in terms of their amount of gold that they're able to get out of the ground, but you've got record level of demand? The price goes up. Now, the only place that doesn't happen for us is in the silver market for some strange reason, right? In the silver market, it's even more pronounced. The amount of silver being mined, it isn't even stagnant like it is for gold. It's going down, 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 down. Keith Neumeyer, who I've had on the show before. Well, I was on a webinar with him. There I go exaggerating again. But I like Keith Neumeyer. I call him, the crown prince of silver. He said, right? And we know the Silver Institute has told us the amount of silver coming out of the ground, right? What they can dig up. And we forget how much labor how much labor goes into getting an ounce of silver, an ounce of gold out of the ground. Guys, it is incredible, okay? I really want to talk to the guys at a channel sponsor, Fortuna Silver. I want to go visit their mine. They have a big, like a hundreds of years old silver mine in Peru, and they're headquartered in Canada, but they're Peruvians, Jorge and Carlos. I want to go see firsthand what goes in and talk to these miners, because I think we forget about that. Like, how hard is it to get an ounce of silver out of the ground? Nonetheless, I digress. Thank you, channel sponsor channel sponsor Fortuna. You can check out them, learn more at fortunasilver.com. They actually mine more gold than silver now, but their roots are in silver mining. Nonetheless, the amount of silver coming out of the ground is going down, 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 right? The price of silver is stagnant. We know that firsthand, don't we? Eventually, right, that supply, like we're seeing in gold, like we see in orange juice, like we see in bananas and avocados, everything else in the world, supply and demand, right? That market works, and when the supply is less than the demand, the price goes up, except for silver. Magical. We always knew silver was magical, but now we have even more proof. You know, maybe it's because we know that the COMEX and the LBMA, right, their inventory of silver that they have has gone down by like 400, 500 million ounces in the last 3 or 4 years. That's been plugging, that's been providing that little extra silver, or that lot of extra silver that's been demanded by the market. But I got news for you guys. It won't last forever. Let me have a sip of coffee. Please give this a thumbs up. And let's all have a sip of coffee, and we'll be back in just a few seconds. Okay, we're back, basement dwellers. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Louise Street. She's a senior analyst at the World Gold Council, explains why economic uncertainty is likely to persist this year. Quote, we're going to read a quote from Louise. In addition to monetary policy, geopolitical uncertainty is often a key driver of gold demand. Why don't we ever talk about that, right? We never talk about how silver is pulled up by gold, right? Nobody talks enough about that. Here it is, geopolitical uncertainty. I've been beating the table about this. That's the root cause of the value of gold. People don't trust each other. Countries don't trust each other. Geopolitical turmoil, right? What happens? Think about this. Maybe you don't know this. During World War II, as far as I know, I'm not a historian. My neighbor has a PhD in history, but nonetheless, that doesn't make me know anything about history. Nonetheless, it's my understanding that during World War I and World War II, the United States of America, right, when everything was blowing up in the world, right, and the British needed to buy arms from us, and whoever needed to buy, we wouldn't take their currency. We said, sorry guys, we only take gold. Right? What does that tell us? Think about that. Geopolitical uncertainty. What about what's going on in the world right now? Do you think the world is trusting each other more and more right now? Right? We know the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and Iran, Saudi Arabia, Ethiopia, Egypt, and the United Arab Emirates, and there's 10, plus a whole host. They don't trust the United States. Vladimir Putin was just on with Tucker Carlson, right, and said it in no uncertain terms. Excuse me, these countries don't trust the United States. What do they trust? They don't trust each other. They trust gold, right? Why are central banks buying almost a record amount of gold? Because they don't trust each other. Anyway, I digress. And in 2024, Luis expects geopolitical uncertainty to have a pronounced impact on the market. Ongoing conflicts, trade tensions, and over 60 elections taking place around the world are likely to encourage investors to turn to gold. And I'll throw in silver as well for its proven track record as a safe haven asset. All right. So what does that tell us? What does that tell us to expect? Let's talk about Egypt. Did you hear about Egypt? Right? The country of Egypt. Oh, they're just having 30% inflation. Oh, they are part of BRICS now. There's big news out of Egypt. People are rushing to precious metals to protect their wealth. Okay? Yeah, we know that. That's what happens when fiat currencies go to nothing. And in Egypt, it's called the pound, I believe. People in Egypt, and like 60% of the people there, and this is unfortunate, are about at the poverty line. People in Egypt, now there's massive demand for what? What do you think there's massive demand for? Think about it. Silver. Because as people are rushing to protect whatever wealth they do have, they can't afford gold. So silver is booming. One of the top metals traders in Egypt has a quote. He said, "Silver is the new gold." Right? That's what do you think? Think about that. Do you think maybe, Costco is selling out of silver? What's that? Oh, Susie's yelling at me. Are you on the live stream, Susie? Okay. Bell time. I'm sorry. I got to ring the bell. I ring the bell 10 times when we get to 100 thumbs up. Okay. Thank you guys for the super chats. And I can be bought, the gong with the right level of super chat. Anyway, so do you think people are going to move to silver? Yes, they're going to move to silver. All right, let's move on. What else is going on in the world right now? I am mad. This should make us very angry, precious metals investors, silver investors, gold investors. You should be mad about this. And I have to thank one of our viewers. I want to give him credit because he pointed this out to me and it really sunk in. It really sunk in. Uh-oh. No connection. Oh, great. My phone, hopefully you guys can see me. Oh, no, I don't have my, what the heck? Hold on here. Okay, we're back. I think you can see me again. This was a comment about the racket, how we are getting ripped off as silver and gold. I had never thought about this. Is from Nepcat4. He says, the government has a racket, and then we're going to talk about this. Okay. Cut the value of the US dollar in half. There's suddenly many dollars available, okay, from capital gains in everything from homes to precious metals, from the gains on any real asset. The government did no work to earn this money, right? So they just print money out of nowhere, right? Spend it, whatever. I'm not going to be accusatory. They actually first got to spend the money to create the destruction of the value of the US dollar. What a racket. So what he's saying is, if you think about this, this should make us angry. This is about capital gains taxes, in my opinion, as precious metals investors. Gold and silver are money, right? They're more money. They are in the U.S. Constitution. We won't go down that road, but the Founding Fathers did write into the Constitution that gold and silver are the, I think, only forms of real money. Nonetheless, and we were on the gold standard, and the country made all of its great. Thank you, David. Wow, man, you guys are super generous for the super chats this morning. Thank you. So we know gold and silver are money. So if you convert, don't you dare say buy. Like I screw up 90% of the times. You aren't buying silver and gold. When you take paper unicorn fart dust dollars, okay, and buy silver, you aren't buying nothing. You're converting, okay, one fake form of money into a real form of money. Here, this. Hold on, close your eyes. It's real shiny, right? Silver, like that 10-ounce bar. If you take 250 paper dollars and convert it into this, that's exactly what you're doing. And this is more real money. Now, this is where you should be really angry. This is where you should be really angry as a precious metals investor, because when you convert that $250, if the government prints money, okay, and everything goes up in price by 2 times, so suddenly a loaf of bread, instead of costing $2, is $4, and this goes up in price, okay, or as measured in unicorn fart dust paper dollars to 500, you protected your wealth, right? I mean, that's what you did. You converted that paper money into real money. But there's a catch, and this is what you should be furious about, that you paid $250 for this in dollars, and now it's worth $500 in dollars. If you're needing to convert this back to paper to use it, to buy some of that $4 a loaf bread, to buy some of that $8 a gallon gas, guess what? You owe taxes on the gain. You owe taxes on $250 because you bought it, right? You converted at a $250 rate, and now when you go to convert it back, it's worth $500. You don't get to keep all that retained value. The government wants a slice, right? They want what's called capital gains tax. It's a ripoff. So, that really sunk in when I saw that comment that this is just a scam and a racket, and something that I think precious metals investors are rightful to be like, we should get rid of capital gains taxes on precious metals. There's been some initiatives on a state-by-state basis to get rid of capital gains taxes on precious metals. I think some certain states have passed it. It's all part of this major wave of precious metal legislation that's being worked on throughout the country. But on a federal level, I don't think there's really any big initiative. What a rack! I mean, it would be like if you had $20,000 in cash, right? A stack of, what would that be? $100 bills. And you go to your bank and you convert it to $1,020 bills, and then the US dollar goes up in value, right? The DXY that you would have to, well, if you want to go convert it back to hundreds, you got to pay capital gains. It makes no sense. It's absolutely ridiculous. It makes no sense. You know what else makes no sense to me? I don't know how, I want to see how this I think is just astounding and crazy. And I think a real snapshot on what's wrong with this country right now, that the average ticket price for the Super Bowl was $11,000. I'm sorry. Hold on. No, 11%. 11, what the heck? 11%, even probably more astounding, of the average household income. I better go to the facts here because I'm getting things messed up. Bear with me for 1 second. Here, this was from Zero Hedge. A Super Bowl ticket costs almost 12%, 11.7% of the median household income. Purchasing a ticket for the Super Bowl. Anyway, got a 50% chance your team's going to win. In 2024, it costs roughly 12% of annual median household income. It was on the secondary market, Super Bowl tickets were selling. Let me ask you a question. Can you fathom my ripple? Can you even fathom? Okay, I want to get a poll. Let's do an online poll. Can you even imagine paying? Well, let me ask you. I know the answer to this question. Could you? Hold on a second. Let's see how many ounces of silver that is. Let's say you go to channel sponsor Pimbex, okay, and you want to buy some silver, and you have this choice: am I going to go to the Super Bowl and spend $9,000, or am I going to buy silver? Let me find my calculator. Oh shoot! Hold on. Google settings, other apps. Here it is. I found it. You got $9,000 divided by 25. 360 ounces of silver. I tell you what, if you had the choice and you could either get 360 ounces of silver or go to, and I understand some people and experience is worth it. I'm not putting anybody down. To me, it's unbelievable. Would you take the 360 ounces of silver, or would you go to the Super Bowl? if you take the silver, type 360 in the comments. I want to see. Or if you go to the Super Bowl, type Super Bowl. Okay, to me it makes no sense. CoinShop Chris says 360. Let's see what else I'm going to get a feel for you basement dwellers. And let's just say thank you to Pimbex for sponsoring the channel. Again, if you want to skip the Super Bowl and get 360 ounces of silver, check out Pimbex. You will discover what I did. They have the best prices. They do. They've got the best service. They've got great selection. To me, they really do check all the boxes. But you need to figure that out for yourself. I only take sponsorships from companies that I work with, and I worked with Pimbex long before they graciously agreed to sponsor Ron's Basement. And I'm so excited to have them as a sponsor now for 6 months because you know why? You know the number one reason why, right? I am happy to have them because of you. Somebody out there, you told me about Pimbex to begin with. That's a fact. Actually, several of you did. I did my own transactions with them. 4 months later, we started talking about doing a sponsorship. But what makes me excited about it is all the positive feedback. And I can look you in the eye and tell you, I have had no one ever contact me and complain about Pimbex. Okay, so I feel great about Pimbex, but you do your own work, do your own due diligence, throw them in the mix next time you're shopping for precious metals, gold, silver, or platinum. And you need to figure it out for yourself. That's the important part. But I just get so excited when we're able to help stackers get more metal for their money. Okay, 360. That's a no-brainer. Hello, Kimberly. And I think is it Ashton, your son? Or am I mixed up? I may be mixed up. A lot of you guys have these nice little kids and they send me messages and it's really heartwarming. So would you, right? No, you would buy the 360 ounces of silver. I mean, to me, I forgot. Hold on. Let's just see what other data I can screw up here. Always confirm this data for yourselves. Where was I? Here it is. Wow. Okay. So do you know what the median household income is? How do you stack up? $77,217. So that's the median, which is not the average. That's like the middle. That's why it's called median. I took statistics in college. So if you're right in the middle in the United States, you're making $77,000, your whole household. And you're going to go, and if all you want to bring your wife and your kids, say you got a family of 5, now you'll spend 45 grand. And then you got to buy hotel rooms. You know, you could wipe out your whole year's income by going to the Super Bowl. But you might get to see Taylor Swift. Did you guys hear? Taylor Swift was at the Super Bowl. Ugh. Okay, enough of that. And if you're wondering, if anyone in the country is seeing their wages outpace rampant inflation, we found at least one group. The growth of an NFL player's Super Bowl paychecks how much did they make for a Super Bowl? It's outpaced the growth in median household income. Hold on here. This is interesting. How much did they get? I was thinking that last night. Like, what? Average secondary. Hold on. The winners of the Super Bowl will be taking home more than just the prestige of being able to say they won the Super Bowl. They'll be pocketing a record $171,000 each for the game. Heck, even if they just rode the bench. I was thinking that last night. I was watching. I actually thought that. I thought, I wonder how much if they get paid extra for being in the Super Bowl. Just for being in the game, $171,000. Wow. That's up from $164,000 last year. And the losing team, they only get $96,000. That's okay. Next year, I'll be happy to be on the losing Super Bowl team. All right. Oh, well, here. Oh, wow. Okay, Taylor Swift, and then we're going to be done with this. Finally, we can't mention insane pricing without mentioning concert tickets, and we can't not put Taylor Swift in that category, leading the charge of costing her fans sometimes thousands of dollars per ticket. The study notes that the average resale ticket price for a ticket to see Taylor Swift in 2023 hit $2,000. No, thank you. Enough said. We're done with that. Okay. Bear with me. I'll be right back. Okay. How's everybody doing today, huh? How's everybody doing? Did you enjoy the Super Bowl? It was a fun game. You know, no matter who, I'm not a huge football fan, but it was definitely a fun game. Let's just talk about some doom and gloom. I believe the biggest factor next up to propel the silver price and the gold price much higher will be economic doom. I know I could be wrong. Don't make any financial decisions based on anything that I say. However, I do think that we're in a new era where reaction to economic gloom and doom in the gold and silver market is going to pivot from what it had been in the past, which was traditionally everybody had this brainwashing that, oh, when the stock market goes down, the price of gold and silver go down. I think that we have some recent data that will show us that's not necessarily the case. Again, right, we aren't going to go down this rabbit hole, but less than a year ago when we had the banking crisis, just about a year ago, right, we had immediate positive reaction in the silver and gold price that wasn't what everybody expected. And certainly from a demand perspective, from a retail silver demand perspective, we saw demand absolutely skyrocket. Okay, so let's just talk about, this gets interesting. What's that? Moo? What? Susie's saying something to me. What are you saying, Susie? Susie! Oh, I'm sorry. I'm okay. Moo moo. Okay, I got to ring the cowbell. We got the 200 thumbs up. Hey, guys. For those of you who don't know, we ring the bells as a symbol of our camaraderie. Basement dwellers, right? We're sitting around the campfire having a good time. And I always do a little extra one for our friend Jake from Jake's Custom Parts. I'm going to run through this quickly, but you can't build. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask, you're smart. I know that, okay? Actually, the Google Analytics that I get about the average viewer of this channel, you are smart, right? We are smarter than the average bear, no doubt about it. That is absolutely a fact. The analytics show it. So you wouldn't do this, but let me just throw out a scenario. You're sitting with your husband or wife, right? Or your friend, or you're a single person, doesn't matter. And you don't have any debt, okay? And you say, you know what? And you go out, I want to improve my personal economy. You just go out and blow everything you can. Get as big of a car loan as you can, as big of a house loan as you can, as big of a credit card debt as you can. You go to Bob's Discount Furniture and open all these individual little things but just buy. And you're like, everything's great. You can do it for about 2 years, okay? People want more cowbell, Coin Shop. Chris says. Woo! That'll wake you up on a Monday morning. That's what's going on right now in our country. We've blown everything. You can't have economic growth based on just nothing but debt, can you? Right? No. $2 trillion racked up last year by our government, and we barely got 3%. Household debt topped $7.5 trillion, and Americans are feeling the strain. I'm going to run through this quickly because it is interesting. Okay, not just on credit cards, mortgage balances last year increased by over $100 billion. That's only at $12 trillion now. Auto loan debt is at $1.6 trillion. Other consumer debt balances, okay, grew by $25 billion. Student loan balances, in a single sentence, this is from Zero Hedge, the economy is nowhere near as strong as the soft landing crowd thinks. Other than mortgages, this data is very recessionary. consumers are struggling to, we're going to talk about what this has to do with silver and gold, okay? The problem with financing economic growth with borrowing is that it's expensive, and credit cards have an inconvenient thing called a credit limit. And Americans are starting to feel the pain. According to the New York Fed, our friends at the New York Fed, delinquencies increased in delinquencies. Okay, now you can't pay the money back. Now you're like, well, I got all this nice furniture, new car, I got a bigger house, we went on this fancy vacation, but I can't afford to pay this. And now they're telling us delinquencies have increased in every debt category during the fourth quarter. Okay, credit card and auto loan transitions into delinquency are still rising above pre-pandemic levels. So that's the story. Okay, what does this all have to do with silver and gold? You know, you buy silver, you buy gold, buy, convert, you convert, right? You convert into silver to protect yourself. As we look at this big picture of what's going on right now, it feels absolutely crazy to us, doesn't it? I mean, there's no other way to sum it up. Those of us who dive a little deeper than Netflix and CNN, right? The Children's News Network, and that's you. You dive a little deeper. Like, there's always a lot more going on than they're going to feed out to the masses. Hello, Metal Seer has a factoid. U.S. credit card debt totals $1.13 trillion. Yeah, right. I mean, doesn't it make sense? Right? We had the pandemic situation. Everybody was given a lot of free money, free money, right? And they all put it in their bank account, and they all spent it because prices went up and up and up, right? Real inflation went up and up and up. And then they're like, well, we're out of that, but I still need to buy groceries. I still need to do this. Now they put it onto their credit card. And now we're hearing from companies like Fidelity Investments. Have you heard this? They're telling us people are taking hardship loans out of their 401ks. That's the situation. That's our economy. Huh? That's our economy. That's going on in the United States. Right? While our government has $34 trillion in known debt, but there's like all these other obligations that it makes it like 100. I mean, so we're in this situation. We're going to talk about skyrocketing silver and gold. I can't help it. That's what we love to talk about. But we are in this mathematical situation, okay? Everybody's saying it. Moynihan from Bank of America, Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan Chase, the head of the Federal Reserve is saying it. Everybody's saying it. We're in an untenable situation, a not maintainable mathematically situation, unless they inflate the debt away. And that's why this is controversial that I say this. Okay, so you can have your own opinion. This is very controversial, but when Jerome Powell, well, let's get him out for 1 second. There's Kansas City Chiefs football. That's my daughter's. When Jerome Powell, right, our old friend Jerome, see him? He's got his unicorn in there. Huh? It makes him feel safe and sound. But when Jerome Powell says, I'm acutely aware of the difficulties faced by the American, blah, blah, blah. No, sorry, Jerome, back in your box. Because you know why? Jerome Powell, this is controversial. Let me rephrase this. They really don't want to fight inflation. They're going to make believe. Isn't everything been make believe from the Fed? Think about it. Over the last, 40 years, 50 years, 80 years, 15, it's become more and more make believe. It's make believe. He's making believe mathematically, guys, the only way that the system is able to perpetuate itself is with more debt and more money printing. Or, right, and this will never happen, right? Or They crash the economy. They tighten the belt on them. They tell Americans, sorry, no more Social Security. Sorry, no more, and they would do that before they tax the rich people. They aren't going to tax the rich people because the rich people control the laws, the politicians that write the laws, right? They aren't gonna take away Social Security. They're not gonna take away Medicaid. They're not gonna stop funding all these war. No. The way the system works is, well, we'll just make more money. And then if they devalue, think about this, $34 trillion is a big number, right? Under any circumstance. But it becomes much more manageable with a currency, paper, remember, they can print it all they want, that is worth less, right? And how does it become worth less, right? By inflation. Oh, so we don't believe Jerome when he tells us, oh, we don't want to fight inflation, blah, blah, blah. He's like the fireman who shows up at your house with his fire extinguisher in one hand, and he's got a big fan in the other one blowing the fan, right? It's the reality of the situation. It's a stark reality of what's going on right now in this world. And you know what? Think about this. Do you think some other people have maybe figured this out? Congratulations. You are as smart and sophisticated as the world central banks because you understand what's really going on. Because we know the world central banks, right? We know the BRICS countries understand what's going on. We know President Xi in China understands what's going on. We know that MBS in Saudi Arabia understands what's going on, right? We know that Vladimir Putin, or Putin, however you say it, in Russia knows what's going on. And that's why they're all saying, sorry, guys, they could force, this is crazy. And this is one that I don't think, that this is a basement dweller exclusive, okay? This is breaking news, basement dweller exclusive. The United States could be essentially forced back onto the gold standard. Let me explain why. Okay, see if I can come up with a good analogy. Well, I'll just explain why. Because if 2/3 of the world's economy, okay, if the BRICS and the BRICS Plus, and if even just a few of these 100 million other countries that want to join the BRICS, people now joke about, is Texas going to join the BRICS? Is Florida going to join the BRICS? I mean, anyway, if 2/3 of the world's economy and power structure are valuing gold and remember, guys, they don't want the dollar anymore. They've said that. Get it through your thick skull, Washington, D.C. They don't want the dollar anymore. They're done with it. No more. Okay? And they've said it, but they're also taking concrete moves away from the dollar. And look, I live in America. I'm a patriot. I love what Thomas Jefferson and Andrew Jackson, you do too. We're just talking about the facts. And the facts are this. They're fed up with the make-believe dollar, the synthetic financial system that was shoved down everybody's throat over the last 40 or 50 years. Thank you, Julie. Wow, thank you for that super chat. China's got 1.4 billion people. India's got 1.4 billion people. Those two alone, the ick in BRICS, that's like 10 times the United States population. Their economies, they're growing, okay? I mean, India's got like a quarter of their population that's going to be moving into the middle class in the next 10 years. Anyway, this is back to the Ron's Basement breaking news. Okay, they could force us back by default but they could force us back on because they don't trust the dollar. They don't really trust themselves. What do those countries trust? Gold. Is that why they're all buying, right? Mountains and mountains of gold. So if they're all together and they're now 2/3 of the world's economy and they're all working in gold amongst themselves, and we're the United States, and they're saying, hey guys, we want to buy some of your cars, or we want to buy some of your cell phones, or we want to buy some of your Halloween decorations for the dollar store, whatever. They're like, that's great, America. But you know what? If you want to buy that from us, we want gold. We don't want your paper dollar because you forgot 10 years ago, we told you we were done with your dollar. We were done dealing with your monkey business. And that could force the United States kicking and screaming, right? And maybe aircraft carriers and people have said this, like it's either going to happen like smoothly and peacefully and we don't want this, right? It could happen more quickly, but unfortunately with the potential of like war, right? War. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting scenario to see how it all plays out. Thank you. Look, I love gold. I love silver. I love, if I don't hold it, I don't own it. I get it. Okay. But I also love stocks. And another company that sponsors Ron's Basement, First Mining Gold. If I'm not going to hold gold or hold silver in my hand, why not own a company that holds it in what is the world's safest vault on the planet, right? It's in the ground. First Mining Gold has over 13 million ounces of gold in the ground. Gold that's already been drilled, hundreds of millions of dollars spent drilling, determining that the gold is in the ground. They're a development stage gold company. 2 5 million ounce projects in Canada, Springpole in Ontario, and Duparquet in Quebec, and a handful of other projects, which altogether aggregates to about 13 million ounces of gold in the ground in all these mining stocks. And don't make any financial investment decisions based on anything I say, okay? But my opinion, and the opinion of a lot of other smart people, is that the precious metal mining stocks have been beaten to a pulp, creating some great value opportunities. In the case of First Mining Gold, if you value that 13 million ounces of gold in the ground based on the market cap of their company, it's like $7 or $8 per ounce for gold in the ground in Canada. Keith Neumeyer is the chairman of the company, and Keith Neumeyer's, I'm just telling you the facts. Look it up for yourself. Keith Neumeyer's been buying the stock like crazy. Anyway, thank you, First Mining Gold, for the sponsorship. Thank you, Fortuna Silver, for the sponsorship. Fortuna is more of a active mining company, whereas First Mining Gold is a development company. So they're both gold mining companies, and in the case of Fortuna, also silver. But Fortuna is actually mining, developing another great value. The case with First Mining Gold is the gold is in the ground. And if you want to get some gold to hold in your hand, of course, go to Pimbex. I'm not going to talk any more about sponsors. We're going to talk about you. What's your favorite subject? Huh? I'm going to go to the comments. Thank you guys for these super chats. You have been super generous. Julie Alexander, thank you again. #1 fan. Yeah. That's why we come together, guys, right? Trust me. The basement dwellers are nice people, okay? Super, super nice people. Hold on. Let's look at some comments here. Ron is bringing us the news we really need. I'm giving you my opinion. You can always count on that, Scott. Thank you for that comment. Let's go to the magic list. What do you say, guys? Let's go to the magic list. I'm going to pick one of these out, okay? One of these out and see what we can do. I'm not going to, you guys know about the Ron's Basement Silver 8 times rule. We'll review that tomorrow, okay? Let's just, you know what? Let's talk about, because I didn't really finish my thought on this. In the 1970s, I was born in 1970. What year were you born in, right? Were you born into the gold standard? Remember, 1971, President Nixon temporarily, just for a little while, took us off the gold standard, that little snake in the grass. Then he got impeached, right? Anyway, silver rose, this blows me away, from $1.50 in 1970 to nearly $50 in 1980. Thus, silver rose more than 25 times, or more than 2,400%. And we got to remember, I mean, I'm going to ask you a question, okay? I'm going to ask you a question. Hey, look at that. 1980, Coin Shop Chris. 1968. Yeah, we're all around the same age. Well, I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you a quick question. Do you believe that now, right now, okay, right now, when we look at what happened in the 70s with silver, and gold had incredible returns as well. But do you believe that right now we have, number one, a similar environment in terms of geopolitically, politically? I mean, remember, like you hear about, oh, the 60s that led up to 1970, like there's all this political turmoil. Doesn't it feel like we have that now? But how does now compare to then, right? We had financial turmoil. We had the Vietnam War. Well, now we've got the war in Ukraine and the war in Israel, which, of course, we're not directly involved in, but seems to be costing us a lot of money. We've got an economy that is sputtering by on a $2 trillion a year injection of free money. Right? That's the only way you can say it. We're spending $2 trillion. Does it feel like to you that now things are escalated from the 1970s? That things are more extreme? So that would be E. Okay? If you think so, I don't know, because I was a baby. Okay? But to me, based on my study, things are escalated now compared to back then. I'd be curious what you think about that. If you think they're less, say L. Hello, Raven. Hello, High Stone Drifter. Hello, Michael Nelson. Sassy Silver. We got a lot. Ron McAdams. Good to see you. Craig. All right. Giving voice to depression. Prices increase a lot. Will you sell? Hi. He said, giving voice to depression says, I'm new to all this. So when prices increase a lot, will you sell? Where and how? Please be specific to teach us newbies. I'll just call you Mr. Depression. We always I recommend, other people can give you feedback and you can make some great friends in this community, but I always recommend only put the amount of money into silver that you think you'll never have to spend. Look at it as a generational investment. Number one, when you buy silver as a retail investor, even though right now premiums are so low, you're still going to pay more than the spot price. So you can't I don't recommend, now some people do, but looking, especially with physical silver, looking at it as any type of short-term trade. Never borrow money to buy silver. What I would say is only put the amount of money in that you really think you could hold for the rest of your life. That being said, if right now, today, and we did a poll about this over the weekend, if right now, today, with everything else, right now, guys, what point would you sell your silver? At what price? And people, help out Mr. Depression, and tell him it right now, today, given, I think gasoline here in St. Louis is like $3.90. Milk is about $2 a gallon. Bread's about $1.50. Susie's been doing a lot more of the, but anyway, right now with today's environment, today's prices, what would the silver price have to be for you to sell? And I'm not even going to ask all your silver, half your stack, half, okay? Half of whatever physical silver you have. If silver were magically to go up to $80, $50, $200, what would it take? I think right now, and I would never recommend selling all of your metal, because if you sell half at some point and hope that was a mistake, because then the half that you continue to hold continues to go up in value. But I might sell half right now. I'm just being honest. And I'm not giving this a ton of thought, but I would say maybe 140 right now I would, if somebody came and said, I'll give you 140 I'd have to go to the vault to get it, but I'd be glad to do it. So that's the thought. Are we going for 300? Oh, we're going for, hey, nobody leave. Nobody leave. We got a special treat. The incredible gong, the golden gong. Where is the golden gong? Hey, and I got something to show you guys too. Those of you, don't leave, because I'm going to show you. Today's Monday. Okay, in 2 days, Wednesday, February 14th, Valentine's Day, I'm going to quickly, again, show you what you can all win. And then when we get to 300 thumbs up, which I know you're going to do, right, I'm going to ring the magic golden gong from our old friend Stu, all right, out on the East Coast. Hold on. Don't leave. There's the golden gong. And, okay, guys, here it is. I'm going to try not to spill this. And thanks to our friends at Wendy's who donated this nice black tray. Okay, on Wednesday, you can win all this silver. A 10-ounce Geiger bar. That came from Pimbex. These two came from our friend Mr. B, Jim B. 2 4-ounce, beautiful. I mean, look at that shine, baby. These are both 4 ounces. This is 10 ounces. This came from Jim B. These came from Coin Shop Chris. They are $50, Kennedy Silver $50. We have 5 consecutive serial numbers, Nadir 1-ounce silver bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 2 peace dollars from our friend Kim out in Cali. And I think that's it. If you add that all up, you get the grand total. And you can win that on Wednesday. There's a link in the description of this. Every video I've put out over the last couple days, or weeks, months, where you can just click on it. It says enter the giveaway here. There's no obligation. And on Wednesday morning, I'm going to draw one random person who's going to get all this sent to them via registered mail. Okay? Wow. Won't that be fun? And that's the last time I'm going to talk about it. So you're the last people who are going to get the inside scoop that it's time to enter. Okay, next time we talk about that, it'll be Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. Central, live stream, where you can win, right? 25 ounces of silver. Again, thanks to Pimbex, thanks to Jim, thanks to Jim M, thanks to Jim B, and thanks to Kimberly, thanks to Coin Shop Chris. You guys are awesome. Okay. Can we get the 300 thumbs up? I don't know. Maybe I should sign off. All right. Well, you made me do it, folks. You made me do it. You made me do it. I didn't do it. Okay. Is the government, all right, quickly, and then we're going to ring the bell. But this is, are you worried? Everybody gets worried. I'm a worrywart. Susie will tell you, I'm the worrier. She's the more laid back one. I'm the worrier. I'm going to ring the gong in just 1 minute. Don't worry about the government confiscating your gold like they did in 1933. That's not going to happen, and I'll tell you why. They don't need to confiscate your gold. The reason they had to confiscate everybody's gold back then was because they were on the gold standard, okay? People seem to forget. I'm going to read that. Thank you, Separate Spectre. So don't worry. Now, if we get in the situation where the BRICS force us on the gold standard, it might happen. But in the foreseeable future, we don't have to worry about the government. I would be more worried about the government confiscating our silver and doing it under the guise of national interest, because it becomes a strategic metal. But we'll see. All right. Separate Spectre gave a $5 super chat and said people seem to forget that the gold to silver ratio existed for millennia before the gold dollar ratio did. Stackers, pay attention. Yes, right now, the silver to gold ratio, my friend Andrew McGuire, and I was on live from the vault. It's gotten almost, 70,000 views. Anyway, it's crazy. 90 to 1, 92 to 1 recently, not 88 to 1, no matter what it is. I mean, does it blow you away? It blows me away. This idea, I've gone over an hour. So much for doing shorter live streams. Susie's going to yell at me when I come upstairs. I'm supposed to be doing shorter live streams, but I love talking with you guys. So much fun. The idea that it would take 90 ounces of silver to get 1 ounce of gold just absolutely blows me away. And yes, those ratios have been around for the millennia. Thank you for that super chat. Thank you for that super insightful comment. Right? We look at the dollar. How long has the dollar been around? 1% of, when you look at how long we have had this relationship with silver and gold in the world. Let me tell you a little story. I can tell you something about your family. One thing for sure about your family, right? You had a relative that lived 1,200 years ago. What would that be? 600, 800 BC, 830, 820, the year 824, 824. I had a relative. Every one of you had a relative, right? that person, no matter where they lived in the world, guess what? Right? And whatever that is, your great, great, great to the 80th degree grandpa or grandma, to that person, silver and gold were valuable. That's the only thing I can tell you for sure. We may be related, right? Because we're all kind of in the same big family, but nonetheless, one thing for sure, that person, if you could talk to them right now and they would say, and then I'll ring the gong, but it blows me away to think, right? That 824, right? The year 824, if that relative of yours had a chunk of silver and a chunk of gold this big and handed it down all the generations, and right now you're holding it in your hands. Wow, right? It's still valuable. That's why we love silver and gold. That's why I love when you join me here in the basement. It's a big deal. It's not RonTube anymore. They changed the name to YouTube, and that's because it's about you. There is no basement without you. Sure, Pinbeck's First Mining Gold Fortuna helped make this possible. Your super chats make it possible, but it's not at all. The primary purpose is you. And coming here and hanging out, being basement dwellers, having some fun. Let's ring the gong, okay? This is for you. I want you to pay attention as I ring this, how it continues to reverberate. Hold on. After I ring it. Isn't it pretty? Still ringing. All right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day. Be nice to yourself, okay? And do something nice for somebody else. I'll see you soon. Thank you.